A little red birdie is going to appear that tells us we're on YouTube.
Should be right about now.
Yeah. Looks good, Jerry.
Okay, it says
Tom?
recording. Okay.
A little red birdie is going to appear that tells us we're Bruce is signing on.
Somebody's got to turn their volume down or something.
Okay, Ronnie, start.
Oh, Ronnie, that's me. Hey, by golly, the old gang is back. In fact, it's grown, and it is the SBAU Astro Hour, number 182, again on screen for another hour, this time for the week of August 19th through the 25th. Welcome aboard. It's all for Santa Barbara, California's longtime astrophysics and telescope club, the SB Astronomical Unit. And doggone, everybody's here, including the president. We're based up at the beautiful Museum of Natural History in Mission Canyon, where SBAU holds our first Friday of the month general meetings in Fleischman Auditorium. 7 o'clock, 7:30 meeting starts. Hosting the very popular outdoor star parties, starting at dark, right next to the museum's Palmer Observatory on the second Saturday. If you're interested in astronomy, and just about everybody is, please join us. Check us out on SBAU.org and watch live here on Monday mornings on YouTube, where you can comment or ask questions. Hopefully, we'll be able to see them today. And we cover it all, anything that's out there, even here on Earth. I'm your host, Ronnie. I long since dropped the bear, and those of you who don't know, I'm not even going to tell you. Stand by to meet the rest of the gang, including Mr. President. But let me tell you what we're going to talk about real quickly. Our weekly planet roundup, different kind of a blue moon out there for a full moon for August. It's not two blue moons, and this is the only one we're going to have, but it's a sturgeon moon. What they've discovered, instead of green cheese, there's caviar up there. Why aren't constellations always drawn the same way? We're going to kick that around. We explore a star in the western sky with a history. Arcturus, front and center this week. Astro Hour will share the Astronomy Magazine photo of the day, I hope. One of those first discovered Wolf-Rayet stars. And something about Edwin Hubble's constant about a century ago is causing tension. So let's meet the gang, and then we'll have some silly cartoons. Jerry Wilson, Mr. President, welcome back.
Thank
Gotta
you.
tell you, we all asked Mr. Prez to bring us something from the UK, and he did, but none of us want it. Why aren't you wearing a mask, Mr. President?
No one to give it to here. My wife has got it too.
Yeah.
Did you bring stuff back though anyway for your shelves in the home, you and Pat?
We did. We brought some nice cups back. One of them got broken in transit, but we're going to replace it too. A lot of photos, a lot of memories.
All right. Well, we'll have, if you get time on the next meeting, you can tell us a few stories if you want.
Okay.
He's president for 5 or 6, 7 years. Incredible outreach coordinator is Chuck McPartland, who's married to Pat. Pat McPartland is our merchandise, as well as treasurer, and in charge of the constant events. I don't know how he does it. As far as Jerry is concerned, you're either totally recharged or exhausted, I would think. Maybe both, but we'll get to you in a minute here. Tom Whittemore, who is editor of the monthly newsletters there. Yeah, he's now a professional sourdough bread maker. Him and his wife, Maureen, used to teach at Westmont College. Tom Totten is back on board, former SBAU president and webmaster, in charge of SBAU.org. His wife is the beautiful Cezanne. Tim Crawford, whose real name is Tom, is now waving at us. He's married to Karen, and she's too good for him, too. Longtime SBAU man. And doggone if Bruce didn't join us with only one screen this week, Bruce Murdoch.
Yeah, I haven't got my other computer up yet going.
Well, you're doing fine just like that.
Yeah,
I'll leave it just like that for the moment.
Plus, we're running out of real estate on the screen. And there is somebody from the heartland of California, Mike Chibnik. We can't see him, but you can say hi, Mike, from Rio Vista. What town up in Sacramento?
Hello, everybody. Mike Chibnik from Rio Vista. Oh, you got one of my first 3D projects.
Okay, Windy Skies.
The Windy Skies Observers, because here, let me show you a picture. Let me go and share.
Okay, this is where you
Okay.
live.
This is where I live in the middle of nowhere. Um,
That's up
Um,
the Delta area.
Well, you've got a lot of
I
wind
live right
farms
up there
around
in
you.
the Trilogy. That's
What
the
is it?
Sacramento River, and that's the Delta that everybody hears about. And all those little dots there are about 700 to 800, 200 foot tall windmills, with the exception of about 16, which are now 400 feet in diameter.
Okay, they grow a lot of rice up there, don't they? A lot of water.
Oh, yeah. A lot
Okay.
of other things, peaches and a lot of hay and corn.
110-degree temperatures.
Well, sometimes. We get to
Sure.
what is known as the Delta breeze, which means
Oh.
we have cleaner air, and it's about 5 to 10 degrees cooler than Sacramento.
Okay. Mike, you were once in our club down here and you moved how long ago?
About 5 years ago,
No.
I, I was down in Santa Barbara for about 6 years.
I probably met you then.
Yeah, well, actually, I was on one of your radio shows once, and then
And I do. Okay. I try to clean a lot of that radio stuff out of my head, but thank you for joining us. I'm just
Okay.
funny hearing now. I love it. And Mr. Prez, welcome back. What we do, Mike, and the rest of you new on the screen with us, is start the hour with a little levity. We call them the silly science cartoons, but they include thought provokers as often as not, which are interesting. And let's throw them up on screen. Whoever's in charge, I believe that would be our webmaster, Tom Totten. Are you?
Oh, Jerry's getting them, I think.
Oh, Jerry's calling up. He did send them to us. And
Yeah.
I have aligned with all of them. Little comments.
This is an error.
Yeah.
Well, welcome aboard the Zoom AI combination as we start the Astro Hour. And I'll use the moment to welcome an old friend, Ted Adams, used to co-host a show on the same radio station called Community Alert. He's listening to a speed bump from Dave Coverly. There's a couple astronauts on the moon, I believe, looking around, and one of Chuck and Pat McPartland's black cats stowed away in his suit. Man, my cat sneaks into the weirdest spots, the guy on the right says. They will do it. They'll come along. That's probably why we love them. Here's one of those thought provokers. You know, whenever a child learns critical thinking, somewhere a conspiracy theory dies.
Good. That's a good one.
Take that, QAnon. Here, we had this last week, but it's back with a vengeance. A couple of distant aliens on their front porch are relaxing. They're huge, apparently, on this planet. So guess what's on the flypaper? Our landers, our astronauts, our probes are the same as mosquitoes to these close encounter people. Speaking of close encounters, here's a lovely, attractive alien booking something happening. Now, she says to the gentleman, now then, when exactly did you want to schedule your next abduction? So it's close encounters are us, of the third kind, no less. Ye old periodic table just featured 4 things we all used to know. You mix them together, you get flaming mud, earth, water, air, and fire. That's
And we're actually on the right track with this in a certain sense. What these are states of matter, not elements. You know,
Well,
it's solid, liquid, gas, and fire, or
that's
plasma.
plasma.
Yeah.
Could you back up one slide, please?
What, the last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it was my wife, she would ask, "Can I get Hilton points?"
Yeah. Mine
Frequent flyer
too.
miles. Okay. All right. Here is Gort. I believe that was the anyway, that's Beavis and Butthead playing the last prank ever done on planet Earth before they wiped us out. He's about to step on a burning bag of dog poop, I guess. Robot stepping out of the alien. I guess these are Mayans or Aztecs. Whoops, go back to that one. There we go. Blow it up a little bit because I'm not sure I've seen these. Does a museum have one of these somewhere? Every 5,126 year, the guy complains. It's the same old thing. Get out the chisels, hammer, and they put out a new calendar. God, it's awful. Is that what they did down in Central America? 'Cause
Yep,
I don't think this is Rome, or
that's the Aztec calendar stone.
Yeah,
is that what it is? It's just one, huh? Where is it?
Mexico.
They have it in a museum?
Yep,
Is it that big compared to
it's
humans?
pretty large. Yeah.
And we happen to know that we're down to the end of it. It's the last.
No,
few-
that's probably referring to the Maya calendar there.
Well, you're the man that knows, Chuck. I'm just amazed. That's why I hang around.
in my view, one of the greatest outrages of entire history is that when Cortez came and took over the Incan Empire, Aztec Empire, I guess it was, they saw because the Aztecs took copious records. They had libraries full of files, illustrated books. And because they worshiped the snake, Quetzalcoatl, the Incas or the invaders burned every single book. They destroyed all that knowledge. Only one survived, the Dresden Codex, which is
Well, there's a couple of codexes, but yeah.
okay.
Are you
Can
saying
you
they
add
had?
detailed?
Are you saying they had scrolls or books that could be
It
burned?
was bark. It was bark paper, and they had
It was
leaflet type
fan-fold
books
books.
of it.
Yeah, it was fan-fold, like an accordion.
Did they have 12 months or 13 or
I don't know the details. They based their calendar on Venus.
on Venus?
That's the Maya, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was the big bright star on the horizon. Never overhead. It's always in the horizon.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, it's still a funny one. Here are the two gasping fish in a polluted stream with all kinds of crap and junk. And there's even a floating newspaper that says, water found on Mars. And one says to the other, how do we get to Mars, Marty? I'm gagging down here. That was a good one from last week. Get a little bit more on that. Well, welcome back, Mr. President. Welcome aboard, Mike. And everybody looks good and healthy. And we're ready for, I guess, the end of the summer. Anybody getting heat stroke these days? Some of these parties we have. Westmont was the other night. What do we
Nice
got?
and cool by the time we set up.
Right.
What's next, Chuck, between now and the end of the month?
Let's see. Next is Friday at Refugio.
Okay.
Pat and I aren't going to be able to make that, so show up
Oh,
if you
really?
can. Then Saturday is Cachuma.
Okay.
And then next Friday, the 30th, is Los Flores Ranch Park up in Santa Maria. And then at the end of the month, the 31st, it's Cachuma again.
Okay.
For Cachuma, when we went to set up last night, Saturday night, there was a yellow jacket nest in the area where we normally set up our telescopes. So we're going to be setting, and we set up in a parking lot for the theater, for the Fireside Theater at Cachuma. And everybody liked that better than the gopher holes out at Dakota Plains. So we're going to set up for the last two Cachumas here in the parking lot for the theater.
All right. Any of you remember the last LA Olympics? It's coming back, in 4 years. And you remember where they had the rowing championships or the rowing
Practice was at Cachuma. The actual races, I think, were at Casitas or one of the ones up by
I was going to say Casitas. I didn't know they came up here to Cachuma.
Yeah, they were practicing at Cachuma, and I was flying an ultralight at that time, and I flew over one of the shells that was practicing and cast my shadow on them, and they looked up. They were surprised.
Huh.
And this past Paris Olympics, they had to do it in the polluted Seine, didn't they?
Yes,
Seine
so.
River. All right, Jerry, where are we here on the big screen?
Well, we're starting off with looking at planets, a weekly planet roundup. Mercury now is hidden in the glare of the sun, so we're not going to cover that. This is a finder chart for Venus. You can see it way down there near the horizon, the western horizon, at 8 p.m. So the sky is really not this dark here at 8 p.m. And you can see the rays of the sun over here from this planetarium image. It would be much brighter than this, but this is one chance to see Venus.
We saw Venus at Kachima. It was above the horizon there, and
We saw
pretty
it,
bright.
saw it at Westmont on Friday night, and we see it every night here It's climbing up, but the ecliptic is inclined very shallowly. So as it climbs up, it goes to the left. So it's still hanging out in the globe. It's easy to see at 8:30 here at the house.
Can you turn on the ecliptic? No, it doesn't.
Oh, you mean, can I make this animate?
No. Can you show the ecliptic line going
It should be
across?
very
No,
shallow. Tom.
I take these pictures, I do a screen capture off my
Oh, okay.
software,
Okay, it's not live.
so
Okay.
it's a still frame. If I had control of it right now, we'd be all on hold while I tried to figure out what I did.
Okay, well, two of those planets almost collided the other day.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about Mars and Jupiter?
That's what I heard. Did they ever occult?
Yep.
They were about 4/10 of a degree apart. I got up and saw them Wednesday morning. It was really pretty. Now they're moving apart.
Well, who went over whom?
Well, they didn't occult. They just were close.
I know,
They were
but
close to one another.
Yeah,
they're moving, so one had to pass either over or under.
one's closer than the other is what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they
Mars will be closer to us than will be Jupiter.
Yeah, take a wild guess at which one was closer, Mars.
Yeah.
So this is a picture taken by an amateur of Venus on, oh, does it have the date there? It was taken a few days ago.
Mhm.
It was taken at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, so it's still dark or still light there.
Mhm.
But with that, he's darkened the background. The guy's name is Kevin Parker. He's a Facebook friend of mine. He took it with a Skywatch 300 PDS and a ZWO AS1715 MC camera.
one of my favorites.
Yeah, I know it. I knew that would spark. So yeah. So anyway,
And I don't know what's happening with your contrast, but it's really blown out here. But it looks nice in your talking points document.
yeah, there are. Let's see if I can. There are cloud bands you can see here.
Wow.
So, but he has darkened the background so it looks like it's at night. The advantage of looking at or photographing Venus in the daytime is the contrast is not strong like this, because like apparently my picture is blown out, so it probably shows a white disk on their screens. Or mine, well, no, mine shows details. But anyway, that's what you get if you look at it at nighttime. The contrast is too high for you to see any detail on Venus. So if you want to try and get some subtle details, try and do it during the daytime. Venus is not that hard to find during the daytime, especially if you have a go-to scope that takes right ascension and declination as a target.
And he's got a filter there too.
He's got a number of filters. Let's see. Yeah, the camera has a peak sensitivity around 850 nanometers, which is in the red. So it's close to infrared. Matter of fact, it's probably what would be called NIR, near infrared.
Would it be fair to say, gentlemen, that Webb will never zoom in on Venus because it's toward the sun?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Really? It gets out far enough?
I don't know that there's anything particularly interesting for
Yeah, that's
Webb.
true.
Venus is very bright at all wavelengths.
Are we orbiting it right now?
What do you mean it?
Are we? Are we or any country orbiting? I know we got a probe going there in a year or two, don't we, NASA?
Oh, Venus? Is there a probe going around Venus?
Yeah.
Not that I know of, but there might be.
I think there's a European Space Agency probe, but I don't think we have any that are active now.
I know there's plans for that.
How about landing?
Well, the Soviets landed, I think, 6 or 8 way back in the 60s and 70s, and they didn't last very long. So the NASA was talking about making a mechanical lander, but I still don't know how they're going to make the electronics to transmit images survive.
Yeah.
Well, you know, back then they didn't have the semiconductors that we have now, because a new thing in power electronics is silicon carbide, which is much higher temperature
Right.
material. So it's
It's a
possible,
refractory material.
right? So it's quite possible if somebody got really clever, they could make
Right.
things complex enough.
Huh. Well, at
And a guy
900,
named Obshinsky was trying to make transistors out of diamond at one point.
whoa.
So,
Well,
Does
it's all
anyone know
a
if the Parker mission going around the sun as it comes out to Venus, have they been looking at Venus with that Parker mission at all?
I don't think their instruments were right for that.
no,
well,
Venus is bright, but it's not that bright.
the Parker has a 4-inch thick carbonized shield that could probably be all around the thing you land on Venus, I would imagine. It still wouldn't probably
Yeah,
help.
but you have to transmit out through it, so it can't be all around.
Okay. With 800 or 900 degrees Fahrenheit, it's a moot point whether, no matter what, your parts are made of.
Yeah, if you put an insulator around it, you only slow down the heating. You don't eliminate it.
God, amazing.
Well, actually, it does say that there's a NASA thing that says Parker Solar Probe captures its first images of Venus's surface in visible light.
Okay.
Confirmed.
Hmm.
I don't know how that could happen. How could it get images of the Venus's surface
It has a camera on board.
with visible light?
Yeah.
And the Parker probe gets a little slingshot action going past Venus.
Yes.
But it can't possibly go by Venus on every orbit. It has a big,
No.
huge elliptical, doesn't it? It goes in mostly empty space, except for the one time Venus is in its
Yeah, they
track.
use Venus to slow it down so it can get closer to the sun.
Oh. Well, I
This
think
is
Jerry-
a planet. Go ahead.
Can I show you the web page I'm on here of the Venus NASA page? It shows
Yeah.
images of Venus's surface.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to try to share. I can't share while you're sharing.
Oh,
yeah, well, we still got Jupiter and Saturn and the gas giants to go to in a minute.
So let's see, new views of Venus's surface from space. Let's see, that's a video. Is there any? Okay, so they're showing a GIF there
and
going
that
by
shows
Venus.
cloud patterns.
Somehow
Yeah.
it says the night side surface of the planet.
Probably radiating in infrared, and they got an infrared view.
Yeah.
Although they wouldn't be using infrared for the sun, I don't think.
There's streaks of radiation from the solar storm that Parker is measuring.
Yeah.
Right at Venus.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, it gets
So
out to
whatever
Earth too.
Says surface features seen in the WISPR images, WISPR.
That's
By
an
infrared.
camera.
And then here, what's this? Surface features seen in the Magellan images match those in the WISPR image. Oh, so this is Magellan older images.
Huh? Is that under the atmosphere?
Yeah.
And is there any oxygen other than in CO2? Is there any O2 among the gas around the planet Venus?
I don't believe so. At least not very much.
Okay.
Oxygen's a very reactive element. Unless something keeps producing it, it'll go away.
Well, yeah, it comes up in a lot of stuff. There's O1. Does it have carbon monoxide along with dioxide, you suppose? And that's our sister planet. My God.
It was once.
Reminds me of my sister. I don't talk to her much.
You have a sister planet?
I do. She's as big as the planet. Has to go on a diet. What are we looking at here?
That's some
Veering
of the
off the-
Parker.
Yeah. Oh, that Parker is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, it goes on and on. So anyway, hey, Parker did look at Venus. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And it's going to get within 3 million miles of the sun eventually.
Next in the planet of the week is Jupiter and Mars. This is from a planetarium program called Sky 6. This is in the east at 3 a.m. So they're not rising just ahead of the sun, but they are rising in the late morning, early morning, I mean, before sunrise. So they're in between the horns of Taurus.
Okay.
This is a photograph taken by an amateur of Jupiter and Mars on 14 August.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
last Wednesday morning, that's when I saw them with
That's
binoculars. It was spectacular with binoculars.
this is
Is that
taken
Is that the
by
double cluster there going on? Is this?
No.
No,
There's a couple of clusters in there.
Yes.
right.
They're in a rich part of the Milky Way, and you can also see some dark nebula down in the lower left.
Yeah.
And along the bottom.
Mhm.
This was taken by Gianluca Massi, who took a deep wide field image with a 135 millimeter f2 astrograph in the mountains of Italy. It is a stack of 10 2-minute exposures.
Mm,
wow.
Great.
it's beautiful.
Are we looking at two spheres almost touching?
Jupiter and
Yeah.
Mars.
Yeah, Jupiter's in the background, Ron.
Jupiter is not the bigger of the two. Looks
Yeah,
like
it's the big
dark-
white one.
Oh, that's Jupiter. Okay.
Yeah.
And the little one in the foreground then,
The
closer
little red one,
is,
Mars.
and that's only half a degree apart.
0.4. Yeah, and without my glasses, I couldn't separate them. But when I put my glasses on, I could see there were two distinct things. And then with the binoculars, it was absolutely beautiful, really pretty.
So the one moving the fastest in this would be Mars, because it's closer and it's inward. And
Yeah, John, yeah.
Now it's moved to the left. In Jerry's previous thing, you can see it's to the left more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, my chart was current for
There you go.
tomorrow. So they're farther
Mhm.
apart. This other chart was current from a week ago. They're much closer together.
Yeah, that's a nice shot.
I would imagine those near occultations are very rare with the planets, wouldn't you
Yeah,
think?
near occultations are quite common.
Yeah.
The
Called
planets move at
conjunctions.
different speeds.
You're right.
They're conjunctions. Huh.
Okay, moving right along.
Mhm.
Got the moon.
This is
Oh, we're going out to the other gas planets. What the hell is
yeah,
that?
this is Saturn
Oh,
is
okay.
here, and this is the full moon. So this is tomorrow night. The
Oh,
full moon is today. So this is very shortly after the full moon. There's Saturn and there's Neptune, which we'll get to. But Saturn is tipping over and getting, it's showing its rings less and less.
Mhm.
This is an amateur photograph taken by Christopher Go on June 1st of this year, about 2.5 months ago. It's very detailed, very nice.
Well, it's
Mhm.
really blown out, at least on
Oh,
my
is it?
screen.
Okay, well, oohs and ahs anyway, just pretend.
We were showing it Saturday night
Okay,
at Kachuma.
anyway, if you can see the ring is collapsed almost, I think it's March of next year, it's gonna be flat,
Yes,
so.
it'll
Oh.
disappear for a couple of hours.
Yeah,
couple of hours, that's all?
yeah.
That's all.
The rings are supposed to be their thickness is supposed to be equal to a 3-story building. And a story is 13 feet. So that's about 35 or 40 feet. I'm gonna let you guys do the talking from now on.
Well, I was just wondering if people would be able to time the time it such that the time that they can't see it, they could use as an indicator of the thickness. In other words, a way of measuring the thickness.
Well, they have a measurement from Cassini.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, my thinking or the way I've considered this planet is that whole thing, including the rings, could fit between us and the moon. But that's a 250,000 miles.
Yeah.
That would be a disaster, but yeah.
Well, I wasn't planning on doing it. Do we still have Tim Crawford and Bruce Murdoch on screen? Gentlemen?
Tim's left for the moon.
Tim has mooted and went, I don't know, he's not there. This is an
Yeah, but-
amateur photograph of Uranus. It was posted on Facebook as Urano
Urano?
and Neptuno. So there's two pictures. This is the same picture, but this is a photograph, and this is the same photograph, but with lines drawn on it. So you can see the equator and the north for the previous photograph.
So this is the
Quite
one that's on
challenging to get detail on that disc.
this is Uranus or Neptune?
This is Uranus. This is Doug.
Yeah.
Doug, the one that's on its side,
Mhm.
the one that decides to
is
do it differently.
Stacked at 80% and drizzled 1.5 with the auto stacker. So for those of you that process planetary images, that's the formula. And
P
this
and
is
N,
quite a good job.
what's the P stand for?
Um,
N I thought was north.
I don't
but-
know, I didn't capture that.
Okay. Fascinating.
This is the same
I
technique
think
applied to
the
Neptune.
P, I think the P stands for
Could it be the pole?
precessing. Yeah, it's not precessing. Predecessor. You know, it's the direction that it's orbiting around the sun. So that's the direction it's heading in.
And it's in Italian, remember?
Yeah.
Well, does the N stand for north?
Yes, Norto.
Okay. So they don't use east and west or south in Italy?
I don't know.
No, it's probably preceding and following
Yeah,
is the terms
Oh.
they use in its orbit.
Okay.
I'm trying to highlight things that amateurs do.
Well,
So-
what if it's like clockwise? Go ahead.
This is our moon in a planet in a mapping software. It's not an actual photograph. This is the full moon and what it looks like tonight. And up here is a crater that Uwe Melling photographed with his 400 millimeter Zeiss Cassegrain
16
with
inch.
an ASI 178, whatever that is. I don't know what
Camera.
that is. Gut Kunst to me means good art.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
anyway,
Gute-
that's a very
is-
nice photograph of a very foreshortened crater.
Gute Kunst.
I thought you couldn't see shadows that well on a full moon. You had to be a
Well,
crescent.
it's not exactly a full moon, but
Oh.
this one is so close to the edge that you could see it's right up there.
Mhm.
So the shadows start right here. And in this one, you can see the shadows are part way up in here. So that picture was not taken with a full moon because it was already posted and the full moon is tonight. So it was taken just before the full moon.
Full moon's this morning, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this morning.
Yeah.
Today.
And you want to talk about the sturgeon part of it?
Oh, the sturgeon moon?
Mhm.
It's a blue moon, but I thought blue moons mean you get two in a month, and this is the middle of the month.
No,
I
Ron,
put that in there
blue-
for
No.
Chuck to take over.
yeah, blue moon got redefined in like 1947. There was a mistake that somebody made in, I think, Sky and Telescope magazine or one of the farmers' almanacs, where they sort of redefined a blue moon as 2 full moons in a month. The original definition of blue moon is the 3rd full moon in a season that has 4 full moons.
Mhm.
And that's what we have this time. It's a real blue moon.
And the sturgeon part again means what?
That's just one of those American Indian names for when you go fishing for sturgeon or something.
Mhm.
They
This
named
time
the
of year.
fish. I thought that fish was indigenous to Russia. It's where they send the
They
caviar.
have them too.
Well, they
We
do.
actually have some in the Sacramento River.
Oh, you do. You get caviar from them?
No,
Oh,
It
probably
says
toxic chemicals.
says the full moon in August is called the sturgeon moon because of the large number of sturgeon fish that were found in the Great Lakes in North America this time of year. The
Huh.
most common sturgeon in the Great Lakes is the lake sturgeon. Males have a lifespan of 55 years, while females can live up to 150 years.
Wow.
It is also the American continent's largest freshwater fish, can grow to be over 6 feet long and weigh over 200 pounds.
Hmm.
And lake sturgeon was essential for the Native American tribes living in the area of the Great Lakes.
Well, you guys keep throwing things on the screen. I wish I had the ability to throw on a good old song. Pa 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 yip 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 yip. Blue moon.
You did good.
60 years ago, we played the hell out of that song.
A little bit of doo-wop.
Think I was in that career, wasn't I? Radio?
Yeah, there's another version of that, Ron.
Oh, yeah, I know. There's a million of them.
Well, yeah, Blue Moon, you left me standing alone without a
Yeah,
love of my own.
I like those. Oh, yeah, the
that
big band.
predates the one you were just doing.
All right, fabulous.
Now, this is a brief one, being full moon, we don't look for faint fuzzies, but Sagittarius on the southern horizon is what I consider the jewel box of the night sky, the Milky Way, and that's prominent in the south at this time. But a week from now, it'll be last quarter, and you'll be able to start seeing this stuff in the evening. This is a 9 p.m., which is a convenient evening for us here. There's no marine layer. This is southeast, so this is rising here and setting over there. So this is the Milky Way going on up here, and in the middle, this is the center of our galaxy. This is the central bulge, and the center of the thing is right here, I believe.
It's more off the end of the spout. In there,
Right,
yeah.
Right there, okay. So, and it is just loaded with things. Now, if you go to this area in the evening, you are going to be interfered with full moon tonight. But there's a lot of bright stars, double stars, and clusters that you can look at that will not be strongly affected.
On Saturday night at Kachuma, the moon was kind of between Sagittarius and Capricornus in there, quite bright. But those sea star 50s were pulling out the Trifid Nebula, the Eagle Nebula, the Swan Nebula. I mean, those little things are amazing.
Yeah. And of course, now you get interfered with by the shine of the planet Pluto.
Yeah.
So
Tell me you can see Pluto.
this was right where the moon was, according to Chuck. Okay.
But right there in the middle of that Sagittarius, we can't see it, is our beloved supermassive black hole, SAG-A, isn't it? Back in there.
SAG-A star.
It's a star that we can't see. Do you suppose they
No,
have radio telescopes?
SAG-A asterisk.
Why asterisk?
Because it's not really a star, it's a asterisk.
Okay, right.
It's often called SAG-A star. The SAG-A was the radio source that the black hole provides. And that's how they name radio sources. And then the black hole, you get the asterisk on it when they figured out what it was. And yes, you can see the stars going around it in infrared.
Okay, so they must have radio telescopes focused on that sucker constantly, 24/7.
They've got whole fields about radio telescopes focused on it.
I'll be darned. And it's a mess. Would you consider that area around it kind of like a star cluster?
Yeah, it's like a big globular cluster.
Yeah.
Where everything's moving just lickety split.
Yeah, fractions of C.
Jeez.
I was looking at the area that Sagittarius takes up officially, where the border lines are. It looked pretty large, and then I looked at a list here. It says that Sagittarius area is actually 15th, ranked number 15th on the amount of area that it takes up. Hydra is number 1 on the constellation, has the most official area.
Yeah. Not one you think of usually.
No.
But isn't our Milky Way considered a bar galaxy? Which way would the bar go? Do they know where the bar is and which way it's is it pointed at us? Are we looking down the bar, or can we see its side view, or do you know what I'm saying?
It's all obscured by the central bulge, the dust of the central bulge for us.
Yeah, I don't know what the orientation is, but it's not naked eye visible, that's for sure. You'd see it in radio telescopes.
Yeah.
Okay. And SAG-A is right in the middle of it all. Fascinating. That's why we love that. Uh-oh. Where'd you get this modern new map or document?
This is an old map. Chuck, would you do this? For the audience that doesn't know, I just got back from 3.5 weeks in Ireland and I got COVID and I'm working my way through it here. So I'm gonna let Chuck talk about this.
Okay, so this is an old map. Who did this one? This is Elijah Burritt. So this is 1835, not as old as I thought. It's showing quadrans muralis, and that's sort of a memorialization of the mural quadrant, which was a huge quadrant on a wall that Tycho had at his observatory in Hvain at Uraniaborg. And it's not, we lost it. It's not an official constellation anymore. When the IAU in the 1930s standardized constellations, they got rid of it. But when you hear about the quadrantid meteor shower in January, this is where the radiant point is. And it's up by Boetes there. You can just see the hand of Boetes, the end of the tail of the big bear, Ursa Major. Let me try to get the picture back here. Is it okay if I share? No, someone else is sharing. Why am I not? Oh, I'm not seeing it because I clicked on a different thing. Okay, so there it is. So you can see the tail of the bear just sticking in there from the lower right. And then we have Draco the dragon curling across near the top. Thuban's there, the North Star for a while. Yeah, right there in the curl.
That's a dragon tail. That's not a snake.
That's the tail of the dragon.
Oh.
They hadn't seen Game of Thrones yet.
Yeah.
Well,
Corona Borealis is not pointed out there.
It's lower
A
down.
sickle. It's a sickle.
Well, no, that's
Right?
the sickle of Boetes. That's a different thing than the Corona Borealis.
What's above the North Star there? Is that the Little Dipper, the little Ursa Minor, or what?
There is no North Star on this one.
He said that was the North Star thousands of years ago.
Yeah, Thuban up there.
What's the little animal, the critter right above that?
Oh boy, you got that's probably Ursa Minor.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It might be Ursa Minor there.
Ursa Minor is a rodent.
No, it's a cub. It's a bear
Little
cub.
bear. Little bear.
It's a bear. Well, that's almost too long to be a bear tail in the lower right, but if that's what it is.
Well, Ron, both of the bears have long tails in most depictions of the constellation, because Zeus grabbed them by their tails and swung them around and threw them up into the sky, and their tails got stretched out.
Really?
Right.
Yeah,
Or
the dragon basically goes in between the two bears for part of it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And if you're an Inuit in Alaska, the bears have long tails because they were sitting on the edge of an ice floe and a fish grabbed their tails.
Well, what's
is that star there? Is that Thuban or?
Yeah, Thuban.
Okay.
the hand in the bottom middle? What is it grabbing?
Well, he's got a sickle.
Oh,
And then he's got the leash for the dogs that are chasing the bear.
Yeah, that's one of the two dogs, Ron.
that's a dog, not a bat. It looks like it almost has bat
Dog.
wings.
Bat dog. Good dog. Good dog.
Good dog.
Well, you got to give them some artistic license here.
Of course. Good dog. Go after the bear with a long tail.
Yeah, and those are Canis venatici in Latin.
Hunting dogs.
Yeah, the hunting dogs.
So this came from Astronomy Magazine, where an amateur wrote in and he said, when using astronomy software for looking at various books, one can see that not everyone draws the constellations the same way. Why? So that was asked by Andros Hinckamp, John Hinckamp of Andros Island in the Bahamas. So what they said was that they went through a history of the constellations, and imagining familiar images in the sky has always been an easy way to track the annual progress of the stars. Around the 2nd century current era, the Greek astronomer Claudius Ptolemy listed 48 official constellations in his book Almagest. No original copy of Almagest has survived, so we don't know what they were. By the 16th century, European explorers were adding new constellations to fill in their charts. In the late 1670s, Edmund Halley of comet fame placed a large oak tree on one of his charts in honor of Charles II of England, and the royal oak behind which he supposedly hid following the Battle of Worcester. That constellation, along with many others, quickly fell into disuse.
And also, if you look at this one, it's the way you'd see the constellations in the sky. But a lot of the early star maps were drawn as though you were outside a sphere on which the constellations were and looking down on it. And so they were reversed. So a lot of them look pretty weird when you see the old constellation charts or the old globes that people made, because it was sort of sticking to the old Greek idea that there was a crystal sphere that held the stars that was rotating around the Earth.
Okay, and that crescent with the lattice device in the middle, is that how they saw all this, or was that their telescope?
That's the mural quadrant, and that's the way they measured positions of stars relative to each other. It's like a big, a sextant is a smaller model of that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to compare it to. It looks like
that was the instrument for measuring stars before telescopes.
And the bigger it is, the more accurate it is. And this mural quadrant was on a wall. It was huge. And so it could be divided into really fine scales, and Tycho could get really good measurements. Tycho Brahe.
A couple of weeks ago, you showed a picture of a giant one that I thought was a small castle, but it was 2 walls with that big, huge device.
That was a telescope.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not what this is we're looking at.
No.
Okay.
So one of the most influential star atlases is Johann Bayer's Uranometria, produced in 1603. It was the first to cover the entire celestial sphere. It set the standard for classical images. However, there was no rule for what stars could be included. All star maps used wavy lines to encompass the borders of these constellations. In 1928, the International Astronomical Union imposed boundaries based on lines of right ascension and declination. And they split the celestial sphere into the 88 regions that constitute modern constellations. They did not set standards for the star patterns of the constellation, however. Even in the 21st century, star map makers take artistic license to connect the dots as they see fit.
And also those lines of right ascension and declination that they use to map out the boundaries of the constellations, like the state lines, because of precession, they've shifted, and the lines now no longer correspond to those actual lines of declination and right ascension in the sky, but they're taken as the official lines.
But this part we're looking at right now, gentlemen, is the part of your talking points, Jerry. It says, why aren't constellations drawn the same way? Is that what we're into?
Yes.
The John Hinckham, you probably already said his name, right?
Yeah.
From Astronomy Magazine. Question of the month. Okay. Come a long way, baby. Diagrams of the sky. So I guess
And people used to, like with Cora Caroli, with the Rober Carolinum and all those other constellations, the Oak, Charles's Oak, and this Quadrans Muralis, they would also put up ones that were political, so depending on what country you're in, your maps would have different constellations with these, different political constellations that were put up to honor people in the sky.
Did the dragon part of the sky come from China?
No.
Well, they're the ones that came up with dragons, aren't they?
No, everyone had a dragon. There's friezes in Europe of gargoyles that incorporate dragons.
Yeah, and Mesopotamia, Sumeria, they had dragons.
Right.
Yeah, I don't understand the gargoyles thing at all in the Catholic Church. They're up on the sides of Notre Dame Cathedral guarding. They're demons, for crying out loud.
No, they're meant to be ugly and threatening to avoid demons landing on the building.
They're not demons themselves. I thought they were.
They might be, but they're friendly demons.
They have a
Okay.
lot of stomach problems, though.
Yeah.
We know how they're going to vote in November. Okay. Fascinating. Okay. We have
So
Arcturus.
where's the lines for the dogs here on this map you're showing right here? I don't see any dogs on Canis Venatici, I guess.
Yeah, they didn't draw them in.
That's near Orion.
No. He's
No.
talking about right on your chart. They didn't draw in it's usually drawn as a single line,
Mhm.
kind of between Corcaroli and Chara.
Yeah.
It's because it's so dim.
Oh, I see. And yeah, this is an example of the creative license that planetarium software takes in drawing the lines at their whim. So
or not.
Or not.
Canis Venatici gets no lines.
They don't get no respect.
And Coma Bernices gets one line.
Yeah. Sometimes that gets two. It looks like a pointed up chevron.
Yeah.
Is
So
there
this one is sparking this is a finder chart for Arcturus.
Yeah.
there
A
we
star
go.
with a history.
Oh,
And as someone will point out,
what is that history?
Arc to Arcturus.
Right.
Okay, it has nothing to do with Arctic or Antarctic. It's a totally
Nope.
different.
It does, because it comes from a Greek word that means guardian of the bear, and the Arctic is where there were bears, Arcos.
But is it up there? Is it north? Is it in
No,
the
but it's the
sky?
guardian of the bear because it follows the big bear around in the sky. It's the herdsman with the hunting dogs that's chasing the bear.
And the bear is Ursa, so that's the north. That's close to the North Star, isn't it?
Ursa Major
yeah.
in
Yeah.
this case. Yeah. Yeah, it's a
So-
northern hemisphere star. It's not
Okay.
particularly far north.
Yeah, Arcturus is the brightest star high in the northwest on late summer evenings, not the brightest star in the sky. But
It's the brightest star in the northern hemisphere sky.
okay, but not the whole sky.
It's not the whole sky.
Yeah. So it's an orange giant. It's 7 billion years old, older than the solar system, and it's racing by our part of space on a trajectory that indicates it was born in another galaxy. So just as Oumuamua came through our solar system, Arcturus came through our galaxy from another galaxy.
You're kidding. Really?
Would I kid you?
Well, you've been known
It's-
to. What the
It's
heck
probably
are you-
from a small galaxy that we gobbled up, though, not from something like Andromeda, because it would take so long to get here from there.
Right. It's got a less glamorous galaxy to start from.
You're starting to sound like those printed words at the beginning of the Star Wars movie that goes off into space
Yeah.
in a galaxy
fading
far,
away.
far away. Wow. Fascinating.
So
I thought Vega was the brightest star in the northern hemisphere.
Arcturus.
No, Vega, that's an old measurement. The newer photometric measurements make Arcturus brighter.
How about Sirius?
Well,
Are you
Sirius is a
serious?
southern hemisphere star.
Oh, that's southern. Okay. Arcturus it is. All right. Fabulous stuff, gentlemen.
And so this was used, Jerry put a whole history in here of how it was used to light up the World's Fair in Chicago in 1933 with a little photometer that set off their lights because they thought it was at a different distance and they were celebrating the previous World's Fair.
40 years earlier.
Yeah.
1893 in France, and then 40 years later in Chicago. That's when
Yeah.
they lit up the archways. I'm trying to find an image of that, and I can't find it right now. But I am trying to find that so I can share that archway that they lit up.
Well, you've been pretty low key, Tim, this hour. How about you, Mike Chibnik? Are you still on board? Somebody
I'm
better.
muted.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, you guys are doing a fine job.
Okay, well, I was about to send an ambulance to your house. I didn't know it keeled over.
Well, they
Well, I've
might
been-
get to
I've been
my
trying
house,
to-
but I won't be there.
Is there a
I've
source?
actually been trying to get the chat area in YouTube to work, and I'm giving up on it. It's just not working. So now I can concentrate on what we're looking at.
So in This Arcturus was the first one to show proper motion. That is motion relative to the fixed stars in the background. Fixed stars is a misnomer, but it's a common phrase.
Is it a binary?
I
No,
don't think so.
Okay.
In 1718, Edmund Halley realized that Arcturus, Sirius, and Aldebaran had moved more than half a degree from where the Greek astronomer Hipparchus had carefully measured them to be 1,850 years earlier. I
no.
don't think so.
Did I miss the constellation it's part of? I probably did if you said it.
Boetes the
Right
herdsman.
there, Boetes, and there's
Oh.
Arcturus.
Okay, you know what Boetes means to me? I heard it's the name of a void. Is there a big blank spot out there somewhere in that constellation?
There's an area with very few galaxies in it.
Yeah, black.
But they didn't know that when they named it.
Yeah,
Okay, just named by some Norwegian fella or
it's Greek.
oh, it's Greek? The two dots over the letter O?
Uh-huh.
That's Greek. I didn't realize that.
Well, is there also something, the charioteer is Bowie?
No,
Is
that's
also a charioteer?
Auriga.
Is that another?
That's
Auriga.
Auriga.
Okay.
Chariots are out of fashion nowadays. You don't really see too many.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. We're kind of out of time, so I'm not going to cover the next two big topics. We'll do them first next time.
Okay.
Well, can I ask a general question of you gentlemen? Is there a source somewhere of a website or something that shows the moving parts of the sky without factoring in the turning of the Earth? You know, you see the stars move and
Oh, yes, you can get a lot of planetarium softwares that'll do that.
Well, I'm talking about just go to a website and there you can see all the dots on the sky not moving, but here's one moving, and that's a planet. And actually see it, and you would be able to not even have a telescope, but know where things are, go outside. Oh, I just saw this on screen, and you wouldn't be able to see the stars moving, except for the turning of the Earth. I'm saying locked in the sky with just the
Yeah,
planets.
Let me share Heavens Above and show you one possible thing you might be looking at. Jerry, can I share
Yeah, go ahead.
a website?
We got 2 minutes. We were a little late starting.
So here's Heavens Above. And this is
Oh, that's Bruce.
a live star. And here's look at the Starlink satellites going across the sky, and not sure we're located here.
Oh,
Currently,
there's movement there.
yeah.
I'll be damned. Okay. Well,
No,
you
no
answered the last-
collisions. No collisions yet.
The planets are going to move so slowly that you're not going to see very much.
You
Well,
can
I'm
change the
talking-
time scale.
Yeah.
I'm talking about speeding it up. You know, they could speed up the stars too, and we'd know
Yeah.
where everything's going to be in 500 years, maybe.
Yeah, you can
That's-
do that. You can do
that's
that
for
with planetarium
Stellarium.
programs. You just speed up time.
All right.
Okay,
Well, gents, it's been
Well,
awesome. I guess we
wait.
didn't-
not yet,
Yes? Not yet.
not yet.
Uh-oh.
This one is the last one.
Aha.
This is the first display to the public of a competitor to SpaceX. It's a
Blue
reusable booster.
Origin.
It's a reusable booster
Mhm.
called the New Glenn, and it's from Blue Origin.
See, they have a cross on top.
The what? So, yeah, I think that's just a load distributor. Anyway,
And that's Branson, right?
no,
No, that's Bezos.
yeah, Bezos.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's scary. Oh, okay. It's still in Texas, isn't it? It's where Elon wants
I
to
don't
move.
know.
Believe it is.
I kind of thought he'd given up the whole thing, but
Well, what's-
anyway, first look.
what- Branson's is called something Horizons, isn't it?
No,
What's Branson, the British guy?
Virgin something.
Virgin, that's right.
Virgin Galactic.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we don't have anything to do with it, but it has Virgin in it. Gentlemen, it's been a kick in the groin, and it's great to have you back, Jerry, and I can't wait to get stories from you and get over that terrible little respiratory thing that you brought back.
Yeah.
with you. Take care of your wives, all of you, and we'll see you at where are we going to be? The lake, Refugio Canyon, Carpinteria
It'll be
Beach?
Refugio State Beach on Friday and Kachuma Lake on Saturday.
How soon do you think Diane Welsenbeck will take signups for our big Lake Kachuma? What is it? It's in October, right? We're going to have a
23rd, yeah, something.
free
Going to be
day.
at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll See
And
you
Tom,
there.
I'll send you an article for the newsletter tomorrow.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Jerry.
Yeah,
It'll
thank
be
you all
about-
for joining. And
it'll
take
be
care of
about,
yourselves and your
okay.
wives. Try not to get old. We'll see you next week for number 183, the Astro Hour.
It will, Jerry.
Welcome,
Bye-bye.
everybody.